to look into installing a database or a private instance in a private subnet, and using a NAT gateway get that instance some patches from the internet. Now, as we had the setup done in our previous demo, we had a web server running in a public subnet, subnet A. In this particular demo, we are going to create a bastion host, and we are going to cheat a little bit because it's just a demo. We are going to create the bastion host in the same subnet as the web server. In a production case, real environment, you would have bastion in its own public subnet, so you can secure it better. But then we are going to have a bastion, then we are going to have a database running in a private subnet, and we are going to showcase a NAT gateway. So let me just jump to the OCI console. And until now, we have seen that we have just a subnet A in the VCN. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a route table, and a security list for my private subnet. Now, when creating a subnet, you need to provide a route table and a security list, and you don't need one at the time of creation. You can always update later on, but it's sort of, it's easy for me to do that because I'm creating a private subnet. So right here, I'll come and I'll provide the name as subnet B, and the CIDR block is 10.0.2.0/24 as is on the slide. And right here I can choose my private route table, and I would choose private subnet because that's basically what I'm planning to install to use as my place for my database instance. So private subnet is fine, and then below here I would choose a private security list, and there you go. I just created my subnet B, a private subnet, to host my database instance. Now I would go into the compute console and I would create a database instance here. So I would call this as my DB or database. Oracle Linux is fine, AD1 is fine, virtual machine is okay. Right here you can see that this is the subnet I just created. It's a private subnet and it chose that private subnet. I don't need a public IP because I'm going to install a database here, so I really don't need a public IP. So it's saying do not assign public IP. That's great. All these options I'm not going to touch. I need an SSH keys here. I think I have it here in my, let me just copy. Just make sure that I have the whole key copied. And right below I don't need any of the advanced options. I click create instance. Now my database is getting provisioned. In few seconds you would see that it just has a private IP address, doesn't have a public IP as we designed. Now as that is happening, let me go to my network and do a couple of things so that I can SSH into the private instance and show the NAT gateway in action. So first thing I'm going to do is I created a security list here. You guys would recall that I need to open certain ports in order for traffic to come to that particular subnet, right? So in this case, because I'm connecting, if you look at the slides, I'm connecting to this private subnet through the bastion host. At least I need to open this linkage from this particular CIDR. Otherwise I would not be able to connect from bastion to the instance, database instance running here. So because we are using this CIDR block, I really don't have a 10.0.3.0/24 as is on the slide here. Both bastion and web are running in the same subnet. So I would open it here. I could just say TCP port 22 if I'm just doing SSH, but I would say open for all protocols. So at least I could do things like ping, etc. Right? I would also do egress open for everything. That's fine. So I'm basically allowing all the traffic out here. So I just changed my security list here, and if I go back to the compute instance, hopefully my database is up and running right now. So if I click on database, I can see that it has a private IP address, and it doesn't have a public IP, as we had discussed, right? We don't want because it's running in a private subnet, so we don't really want the public IP address here. So right here you can see that I'm using SSH proxy command to go from my bastion host. So this bastion host public IP is here, 129.213.120.162, to my database instance, and right here I'm using a private IP 10.0.2.2, right? And I click yes, and now you would see that I'm right inside my database, right? So if I want to show you guys pinging Google, it doesn't let me do that, right? Because it's in a private subnet, the packets have no way to go to the internet. Even though my security list I opened, I said, all the packets allowed, it doesn't allow pinging because there is no path for the packets. It's black holing the path. The packets cannot go out, right? So this is where the NAT gateway comes in. So let me just go back to my VCN. And first things first, I need to create a NAT gateway. So I click NAT gateway here, and I would give it a name, NAT gateway, and create one. It's as simple, right? Now you would see that the NAT gateway is created. It gets a public IP address, right? So how do I associate this NAT gateway to the subnet? That association is done in the route table which we are using for the subnet, right? So if I click on private route table, remember this one is the one which is used by the private subnet. So if I subnet B, so if I click on that, I need to add a route rule. So first thing it asks here is, what is my destination? My destination is a NAT gateway. What kind of traffic do I want to send to NAT gateway? I want to send traffic distant for all IP addresses, right? So I do that, and then right here my destination is NAT gateway, and I add this rule. And as soon as I do that, you would start seeing that now I'm able to ping Google here, right? I can ping because my NAT gateway is working. So literally what is happening is we have this instance here through bastion host. I'm connected here, but then this path is the one I just created, and through this the traffic is flowing out. So hopefully this gives you a good understanding of how NAT gateway works, and how you could use it. In this case, I'm just pinging Google, but you could use it to install a database, let's say like a MySQL, or get patches from the internet. Thank you so much for watching this demo. In the next module, if you have some time, please join the next lecture, where we talk about peering and transit routing. Thank you.